G'day guys, this is Jay here, all the way from Australia, kangaroos, koalas, and Steve Irwin impersonations. Of course, I'm flying back to Canada. Now, you know, last year I met Bret Hart and I was in Canada. It's one of my favourite places. Calgary Stampede. It's happening now and I'm not there. I'm sad. But I've got my lovely friend Angela all the way from Canada. Now, in Alberta too. So we connected on TikTok. Now, the reason why it's really good that you connect with people overseas because you get different views. And I think the most important thing is understanding what is actually happening overseas because you're obviously focusing on what's happening here in your country, and in this case, Australia. And also, you know, what's happening via the news and social media in you know, wherever it may be. But on the ground, everyone says to look for facts. I mean, you can't get any more factual than people actually living it. And this lady's living it. And she's been living it since she was younger too. So she's always been, why is this happening? And it takes a lot of guts to get out and actually speak your view, facts-wise, experience-wise. So, Angela, Ange, however you want to be called, from Canada, the Maple Leaf from Edmonton, Alberta. Okay. We all love that. Thank you so much for coming on board. And it's been great to connect them, the Canadian, Australian, Commonwealth connection, however you want to talk about it. You know, there's a lot of similarities happening. How are you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me too. Yeah, there are significant similarities, I think, going on between Australia and Canada and England, Ireland, countless other countries around the world, sadly. Um, yeah, things have just got pretty bad. And a lot of people, I think, just don't understand how and why it got that way.
Absolutely. So I want to know a bit about yourself first. Let's get the viewers want to know a little bit about you from Edmonton, Alberta. Beautiful place, home of Brett. No, Brett's Calgary, but anyway, Edmonton, I think it's Chris Benoit. Oh, that's a bad one. I'm not say that one. So, but anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are where you are now. And you are starting a new journey. I mean, I always have people and they go, "Oh, I'm going to start having a voice," and this is what the chat with Jay is all about. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, you're having a voice. And if I can start you on your journey, I'm very happy.
I appreciate that, Jay. Now, I know you've been to Calgary and you haven't been to Edmonton. Um, but if you're a Calgary Flames fan, this conversation ends now.
No, don't. Well, no, we had this discussion when we first started. No, the Edmonton Oilers, is it? Am I correct?
Edmonton Oilers.
There you go. See, I do love my. I do get into my sport. You know, I'm a sports person. Yeah, but no. I'll say I just like watching the sports from right back. I like to watch some hockey games live. But so Edmonton, what's your story? Where do you start and how do you get here? And how do you get to a point of why is this happening? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born in Collingwood, Ontario, but we moved to a city called Fort McMurray when I was 3 months old, and that is in northern Alberta in 1978 when I was born. And it's an oil and gas town, and um, there were many Canadians who moved there to start a new life because the oil and gas industry had a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunity and a way to give yourself and your family a better life. And one of the reasons why my father moved us to Fort McMurray from Ontario was because Ontario has always been more expensive practically than many other provinces. But at the time back then, house prices were going up so fast that you couldn't save money fast enough to get a down payment and get into the market. So that was when my dad decided, well, we're going to go somewhere where I can give my family a home and work hard for it and opportunity and that sort of thing. So that's how we ended up in Fort McMurray. And we moved here to Edmonton when I was 16 years old. My dad just transferred to a different area of the oil and gas industry, a different company. And we've been here ever since. And I think that a lot of people may not realize that Albertans and the West are not very well liked by the East of Canada.
Okay, so
And
is that like Calgary? We made the joke about the Oilers and the Flames. Is that pretty much what it's all about? Pretty much is that how is that? It sounds really gimmicky, but Is that why? Is a reason why the East don't like the West and vice versa? Correct?
Well, Calgary and Alberta, or sorry, Calgary and Edmonton are in the same province of Alberta, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the hockey teams, that's the Battle of Alberta hockey thing that we do.
Want to do a big shout out to our friends and supporters at Liberty Bullion. Sammy and the team are the best gold, silver, and platinum traders in Australia. Make good choices. Give them a call. Back to the show. Over Toronto, is that
Well,
correct?
Vancouver, that's BC, British Columbia.
Yeah.
Vancouver is in British Columbia, yeah. And then us, and then Saskatchewan, and Manitoba can kind of go back and forth.
Oh, okay. Switzerland.
Switzerland, yeah.
Okay. Manitoba, yeah. Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's where Chris Jericho came from. See, so I relate
Yes, Winnipeg.
I relate everything to pro wrestling. That's how I learned about all these towns and cities. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So you've gone through what you went through. We'll go into a bit more into it. What are the main points that got you to a point of going, hang on, someone's wrong in the world, and I want to have a voice, and I want to know why. What are the main points in your life that got you to that, got you to this, and saying, look, I'm thinking about, I might start a podcast. It's a great way to get your voice out and find a purpose.
Absolutely. Well, I was diagnosed with a mental health issue called bipolar disorder type 2 when I was 13 years old.
Right.
And in later years, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And this is not a good thing to, I'm not trying to celebrate this or anything, but I have attempted to unalive myself 8 times in my life, 5 of which I was
Right.
hospitalized for. And I have always been somebody who has been an advocate for people with mental health issues, and that more help is needed and more awareness is needed,
Yep.
more resources are needed, that
Yep.
sort of thing. Also, I'm a big talker about men's mental health issues because a lot of people think we're talking about that enough, and we certainly are not. Um, but we have to kind of, we will. I mean, we always say, like, how can we solve a problem if we don't know the root of the problem, right? We have to get to the root of the problem to come up with a solution.
Yep.
And I, at the time, several years later, I was working as an emergency medical responder in the oil and gas industry here in Alberta. I was in way northern Alberta, and I was working on a drilling rig, and I was on my way driving to my rig in a blizzard in November, and I got hit from the front by 2 semis in a Ford truck at highway speed. So broke my right arm, and the bone came out of the skin, shattered my right leg, massive
Wow.
head injury, back injury, nerve damage, 5 surgeries and 7 years of physiotherapy, and I will never be fully correct. But it makes you wake up to, you only get one life.
Yep. And that,
You only get,
that was your main thing. It's similar to when I had the stroke scare, and then I woke
yes,
up with regards to what am I doing, where am I, and what are my main, what have I, what's wrong? I shouldn't say what's wrong with me, but what do I have to learn to become the person that I want to be? And I think those times for both of us have given us the strength to, not even the strength, just the knowledge to say, right, there's a better way, and we have to find our better way. It's not like one way is better than the other, you know?
absolutely. Because when you have epiphanies in life, that's what they are, right? They're a game changer, and they're supposed to be. So after that whole thing happened with the accident, I was being compensated by workers' compensation because that's just the way it works here in Alberta. But within 6 months of that accident, workers' compensation was already starting to cause me problems in paying me, and I'm like, okay, I cannot fight them forever, kind of thing, right? Like for every little dime. So my arm was still broken and in a sling, and my leg was still in a brace. And I Googled online business, and I started the first one that came up in the Google search.
See,
And
that's
that's
it.
how.
That's taking responsibility. That's awesome. So I make good connection with that because you think I went back and did a degree at 35.
Hmm.
Same
Hmm.
thing. Same thing. We saw that this was coming to something we were put into a situation where we think, we've got to change our lives, and it's the hardest thing to do that. and we've done that. So we took that upon board. And I think a lot of people should take that on board. I think it's a great thing that you did.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think, you know, I've been a singer, dancer, actress since I was 4 years old. I love being on stage. I love being in front of people,
Yep.
whether I'm singing, dancing, acting, or just talking. And
Oh,
so when I started in that online business, it was affiliate marketing, and my mentor inside of that, once I started doing really well, he was like, "You need to build a team. You need to help, other people." And I'm like, "I don't know if I can do that." And he was like, "You can do it. You actually, that's how you pay it back, right? Like you pass it on." So I started building a team and helping people, and uh, then I did really, really well in the company, and I was, you know, honored with a few things and speaking events and awards and stuff like that. And I just kind of wanted to keep it going. I just wanted to make it bigger. And throughout the years of doing those things, I created this course called the 8 M's of Success, which I was teaching the people who joined my team to, find financial freedom for themselves and their families. And, the necessary steps it can take to get there. And the 8 M's actually started out as the 3 M's uh, in Thailand in 2013, and they have grown over the years. So,
fantastic, fantastic. It's a case of it's really weird. You get into something, and after writing my book, Journey of a Whitefeather, bestseller, okay, it's like that's the way I am. I might as well be proud of what we do. But I had to think about. I've done a course as well. Like I've written my course up, which is basically an intro and then an advanced one, the 15 ways that I got myself out that I could share with others. It's a
hmm
simple thing. It's your own personal journey.
hmm
Yeah. So I understand that. That's fantastic. So going from your online business, so where are you right now? Are you still doing that? Or now has it opened up your mind as it has me, I guess. I guess we're talking to the converted of we've got a bigger purpose in life to get people to think, to critically think and be aware.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I'm still doing my online business as well. And I'm in the process of writing the 8 M's into a book. Like be a wonderful published author just like you.
Yeah,
Author, I mean.
if you want to get published, we've got someone that works international. My publisher, I can give you the details. There you go. Busy
There we
Bird
go. See?
Busy Bird Publishing. There you go. One the best.
Mint. I
There
will
you go.
take that number from you then.
Yeah, no worries. Just look them up on the internet. Busy Bird Publishing, Melbourne, Australia. They are the best. So you've got your 8 M's. So let's move up to now. So we connected on Facebook. I saw a few of your posts, and you look very similar to me, where you found your voice, found your purpose, and you want to. I think you basically want people to be aware, and we get a lot of grief from people thinking that we're spewing propaganda. You know, get the facts right, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, all my thing is to get people to actually think. I'm no messiah. I might be a messiah in my own life where I give out the 15 lessons that I learned, and you've got your 8 lessons. So, what's a female messiah? Whatever the female messiah word is. But you get where I'm going. What about that? Where do you see yourself right now? Because this is where we've connected, and we're very similar. Canada, Australia. What do you reckon?
Well, I actually don't normally follow every kind of thing that has to do with politics. And as a matter of fact, in my course, I would teach my students not to watch the news all day. Because when you inundate yourself with that, and newscasts are nothing but horribly bad information from local,
Exactly. Yep.
provincial, country,
Well,
international.
yep. Exactly.
And so, what are you feeding yourself? You're feeding yourself nothing but all this negativity and hate and worry and that kind of thing as well. Because most people, whether they realize it or not, will look at the news and take it on as personally. And my dad is awful with that because he watches news 24/7, 365, as if I could stop him.
Right.
Mind you, I have attempted to many a time. But I was like, Dad, you need to turn this TV off. You need to stop watching this. I'm like,
Can-
this is
can-
bugging you too much.
so I'm going to
And
I'm going to be devil's advocate here, right here
mhm,
now, because I get it all the time.
mhm.
Um, do you get hit with people saying that social media is the evil part as well? And they reckon it's a lot of negativity coming off social media. What do you think? Do you get it? I get it. I understand where they're coming from, absolutely. But I think consciously I can make a decision to go, yeah, right. I know where my purpose is. Have you what do you think about that? Because people are saying, yes, mainstream media is full of crap. We know that. But
Mhm.
is it getting like that on social media? I don't think so, because we can make a decision to watch or not watch. What do you think?
Well, I think maybe the differences between mainstream media and social media is the cookies and the algorithms and all those things that go along with it, because you can really wrap yourself up quite quickly in your own little echo chamber of content, of feeding yourself back your own kind of
Yep.
opinions, right? And what can we do if we come across a video that we don't like? We swipe by it. If somebody has a different opinion, we can just go past it. We're not willing to listen to each other anymore and look at the issue, not necessarily from a black or white or liberal or
Live
conservative
because of it,
or
yep.
right kind of a view, but we are all human beings, and we all have to look at these things properly and suggest things that can help keep us going. So I think that the echo chambers inside of social media are probably the main culprit on that one.
But you think that, yeah, well, that see, I agree with that, and I think people have to understand, especially with my journey, is you find a. I believe that my big problem was, and I reckon I'm going to mirror you in a minute, is walking the journey and being afraid to take that step because we don't want the negativity or have had bad experiences where we don't have the education and the maturity to say we've got to turn left. We don't stand at the crossroad. We turn left and we just basically take it on head on and learn and get into that discomfort. They say, like Marcus Aurelius and all the big Stoic leaders of the world back in the day said, it comes into discomfort. Discomfort gives you growth, and I think we've both been through that. And coming from,
Absolutely, 110%. Because in if you look at like NLP stuff, do you know what NLP
yeah,
is?
yeah, yep, yep,
Okay, so for our viewers, I don't know if everybody knows, but neurolinguistic programming is
programming,
kind of like how our brains work, how our thought processes go, and why we think the way we think, and that kind of a
yep,
thing. And so when we kind of look at that and we think about how we learn lessons, okay, we always learn lessons the best when it's taken the hardest route for us to get there,
yep,
right?
yep, yep,
So getting that uncomfortability is exactly that idea of, nothing good ever came from your comfort zone. If you want to step out and branch out and be something different or grow on something that you want to learn or approach something that you've never approached before and just take on a new idea, well, then that means uncomfortability is going to come along with that. And hate,
mm,
unfortunately, is going to come along with that too. And I actually don't even like to use that word that way because, and I think that's another thing that has kind of gone off the rails in a lot of cases too, is that if I'm disagreeing with you, whether it's because of a political opinion or I'm disagreeing with you that the Edmonton Oilers are better than the Calgary Flames or whatever that kind of a thing, I am not hating you. I'm disagreeing with you. And we don't know how to agree to disagree anymore.
no, that's right. A lot of people come around, especially. Well, we can start talking about what's happening in Australia and Canada and what happened in America. Um, People take things personally because they say, "Oh, you're a crap footy coach," and they take it personally, and that's what this generation has been brought up to say. Go, you can't say that to me. It's like the upscale of what it is. It's not about that. It's about being better. If you're telling me I'm a crap soccer coach, probably because I go, all right, yep, fair enough. Okay, yep. Well, number one, you got facts. Yeah, why do you think that? Well, well, you're not winning anything. You got 0 to 10. Um, you know, crap. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are crap about it, and then you can talk about having said, oh yeah, the kids are playing better, having more fun. They weren't having fun. Thing. Okay, cool. So you're going to try and get better with the results because yeah, we haven't got the skill, but they're having fun now. So you have that open discussion about things, and yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, like this generation has been brought up on this, this kind of politically correct idea that you can never in life ever hurt somebody else's feelings, um, and such. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily wrong, but bullying and things like that when you're a kid, that's not okay,
No,
right?
that's right.
But it is also, you learn a lesson from it too, right? It's growth as well, in a sense, now.
Yes.
And the difference is too is like I have parents that, if we were bullied, we were not taught to turn the other cheek and walk away. We were taught to stand up for ourselves and fight back, and also fight back for those who are being bullied who can't stand up for themselves. The only time I ever got in trouble for getting in a fight by my parents was when I lost, which never happened. Now,
It's a big change. It's a big change, isn't it? It's
it
like
is, it
it,
is.
and so okay, here we go. We'll push you on to the next one. This is great. So we're looking at the way the change of look. I mix everything up: Gen X, Gen Z, whatever it may be. But say like I saw on one of those. I saw a video and it said everyone goes, "Oh, go and get your facts checked and all this stuff." Yeah, that's fine. But I saw on a TikTok video that the biggest um issue for the current election in Canada was Donald Trump.
Hmm.
Am I correct?
Yes,
There you go.
you are.
Now that is absolutely bloody ridiculous. Now
Big
I'll
time.
say, now I'll funny enough say this. I have a theory about the Australian one too, because they were saying that the opposition leader was Timu Trump. As soon as the word Trump is said, and look, it's a support thing. Whatever you think he's doing good or doing bad, he's whatever it may be. Not the
Hmm.
savior and all this stuff, but whatever's happening there, we saw what was happening beforehand. Is he making it better? Well, people in America say, most people say it's getting a bit better, but there's stuff happening. Right, that's fine. We're not there. We don't really understand. But
Hmm.
getting back to the point of that's where we're at in life, and this is why we're talking. Why we're talking. What do you think's happening in Canada? And I think I personally think you've got more humanity. When I went over there, you've got great humanity. Everyone, we're more tall poppy down here. And JT Fox, my coach, said the same thing. So I've been rambling on a bit. What do you think what's happening in Canada, and why are you going, why is this happening? And this is why we're connecting. So what do you think?
Well, the the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre, uh, basically Mark Carney and the Liberals painted him as a mini Trump, that he was going to do the exact same things that Trump was doing,
Oh
and
my
that
God.
was not the intention. And the second thing that Mark
Wow.
Carney did
Wow.
was to divert the attention off the horrendous decline of Canadian life in every single aspect that we measure, whether it's income, housing, food costs, GDP, whatever. Okay, everything has suffered drastically. But what they did is Justin Trudeau resigned, basically just because everybody was just fed up. Nobody can
I
stand the sight of
I
it
noticed
anymore.
I noticed that. Yeah, even
Yeah.
when I was over there last year. I mean, as I said, I can't stand our current government at the same time, and I think there's very similarities. But they said the same thing. Sorry, continue.
No, no, and that's fine. So yeah, I mean, basically, the Liberal Party had to look at this like, if we don't get rid of him, he's going to take down the whole party, right? Like it's just not. We're just going to die on the vine here, kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
So they go through their leadership race, and which really wasn't a race, basically to install Mark Carney as the head of the Liberal
Now
Party.
he was
Therefore,
carbon carney. Is that what
yep, carbon tax Carney.
yeah, and I saw a video when I was over in Canada
Yeah.
on the news. Sorry for everyone who I don't have the facts on me because I don't write everything down. I just say it, so you can go and research it. So I do apologize to people who think I'm making this up, but I don't. So they said something to the degree of he was going to put a carbon tax on Canada, 70%, if I'm correct. And then even I was ready to say it, but this bloke said it. I can't remember his name. I don't take notes. He goes, "Why would you put a carbon tax when you've got um, Canada is full of trees?" Let's just be thing. It makes total sense. Let's dumb it down to the normal person. If you've got trees, carbon goes in, carbon goes out. More trees, carbon goes in, carbon goes out. Why do you want to charge for it? So there's where they were at.
Well, and the, the thing about the climate and Carney are a bad idea because um he's he is a member of the World Economic Forum, and they believe that climate change is a calamity. Now, I have also been a junior member of Greenpeace since I was 13 years old, and Canada is not the problem when it comes to the climate, because we are practically net zero with the amount of trees and forests and all that stuff that we have. We don't we clean up most of the carbon that we put out into the world. And the numbers that I have seen is Canada has been as low as 0.4% of like global emissions, all the way up to 4% of global emissions, and that was when we were burning down, when everything was on fire, right? So we have never been the issue climate wise. And the reason why they wanted to institute the carbon tax is to
Revenue
steal
raise.
more money from Canadians, make it harder for us to live, uh, somehow justify it to all of us like we have to do this, or the world's we're gonna blow up the planet, kind of thing, if we don't manage our carbon emissions and stuff, when carbon is just like a tiny little bit of the atmosphere. But nobody digs in, Jay. Nobody looks deeper, right?
I
Nobody
go.
goes that
I,
deep anymore.
look. I'm with you. I think that's why they're trying to censor us. That's why they try to put the misinformation bill here in Australia. They made it like kids should be protected. Yeah, absolutely, my friend. But what is your agenda? I always look for what the agenda is. I go, and you'll never be able to prove it. People are living in cars here. I'll give you a simple. I'll give you a simple one, right? I know teachers around here, and we've got what we call the Great VIT. I'll leave it at that. Um, Cost about $120 to register for whatever reason. You get your money for whatever reason. Suddenly, they've put a $80 tax on, or some business data tax, or some crap, to go up to $200 to register as a teacher each year. Now, seriously, and you got the minions that will justify the garbage because they think that they're going to make it to the top, but they don't realize they're being used like a lot of other people are. Am I not wrong?
No, I think that in political environments like that, you're 110,000% correct. But it's just that, because nobody looks, nobody digs deeper, nobody says why. Like, um, with the election, even too, Carney with the Trump idea was putting the fear of God in Canadians that Trump and his tariffs were going to destroy us, and they
Yep.
were the biggest threat to
Were they
Canada.
doing the 51 state thing as well? Did they push that agenda as well?
Well, Justin Trudeau was still prime minister when Trump pulled out this idea of the 51st state. That was really never going to happen. I think that was just kind of a Trump arrogant ego thing. And then Trump is the kind of guy that once he says something, he has to follow it to the ground. Like,
Yep.
I had this one idea, I said it out loud, which makes it the greatest idea in the world, and he will stick with it whether he is told or confronted with the fact that it is false anyway, kind of thing, right?
Yep.
But that's Trump. That's his narcissistical, egotistical thing. He will never admit when he's wrong. But the reason why Carney did that was to take the emphasis off of the Trudeau decade that destroyed us, and try to say, forget about this. Now, this tariff thing is an issue. This is what we got to manage as Canadians. We have to unite as Canadians against Trump. So,
So,
um,
okay, all right. I'm going to tell you straight out. There's obviously
mhm,
footage. I'm going to write this down so I can get it. There is footage out there at the Canadian Stampede,
yep.
best outdoor show on the earth. Yes, been there, love it, want to go every single year. How come first day he goes to the rodeo or wherever the big stadium,
Yep.
and he's booed out of the building. Very similar to the Australian Prime Minister, who was booed at the final of the Australian Open. It's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what happened. Now, you tell me what is going on here. All right. So it doesn't, everyone can put all their cards on the table. But if people are booing, and you never, look, I'm a man of respect. I respect everybody. But why would you boo someone to this point if you didn't have just reasons to do it? I mean, something's going on.
Oh, absolutely. And, the Calgary Stampede it's one of those things that practically every politician has to make their rounds at,
Yep.
because it's kind of considered a national event. Although it happens in Calgary, it's, still ours kind of as Canadians, right?
That's right. Yep.
And
exactly.
so now Mark Carney was born here in Edmonton and educated here through high school and all that kind of thing.
Right.
However, we are an oil and gas province, and he wants to destroy us. He has said a million times that Canada's resources have to stay in the ground or it's going to wreck the climate. And that his intention, as a matter of fact, and if he has a book that he wrote called Values, which I wish every Canadian voter would have been forced to read before the election. But basically, the gist is this, Jay. He believes that the climate change issue is such a calamity and emergency for the world that it justifies governments doing absolutely anything in their power to stop it from happening, even if it causes poverty or death or etc. And that they are the end all be all and they know what's best. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I get it.
If he honestly thought that he was going to go to the Calgary Stampede and be loved, then he's delusional.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. On this note, we're going to do, that's part one. That was magnificent. It was magnificent. We're going to go
into having so much
fun. Yeah, exactly. So look, as I said, getting a voice, that's why I did the Robin Hood effect.
Absolutely.
Everyone knows what the Robin Hood effect's about. Everyone knows what Robin Hood's about.
Oh yeah.
And getting to know someone from overseas and just having a chat, not doing this crap goes, where's the proof of everything? You're having a chat because you're getting affected.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And, whether you're wrong or right, it's your opinion and it's how you see things. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's people who are disillusional and there's people who know everything. That's fine. But that's what makes the world go round. But it's how you feel as a person. There it is. So part two, we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Great.
Where can they find you, Ange? Where's your main source of your social media platforms?
I would say TikTok right now.
TikTok, so you can look up, and we'll have that on the video, so you can look that up.
Sure.
If you see her on the video, this will go up, obviously, so we can put it up and we'll have a look. But part two coming up, and we'll be back very, very soon. Go and get yourself a nice cup of water. That's the way to do it. and we will talk soon. Have you got a story to share? The experiences that you went through those dark times need to be told, need to be heard. The teachings, the lessons. I know when I had a stroke scare that it changed my life. My name's Jay from Journey of a Whitefeather, and I run a show on Spotify and all good platforms called A Chat with Jay. I talk to normal everyday people who have had experiences that need to share their teachings with the world. I speak to celebrities who are there, who can give you advice how to become a better person. Bruce Buffer, the Kings of Disco, Lucky Lawless from Wasp. So many people, but I love talking to the normal everyday person that gets up every morning to be their best self. If you want to be a guest, whitewarriorhealth@gmail.com. Check out our socials, #JayStephenson, #Journey of a Whitefeather. Take care and always be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.